Education is vital to any society. And of course, when you live in Thailand, there are certain freedoms here. But of course, there's always need for improvement. Today we're here at City Hall about a new policy that's been launched out to the schools. Actually, it's not for the children, it's for the teachers. And it's a child protection policy that's been drafted up over the last few months, and a bunch of schools in and around Pattaya have came on board, trying to make things better, trying to educate themselves as to what child protection is and how they can get these kids on the right path. Let's go in and find out what it's all about. Okay, this initiative has been set up by Margaret Granger, who we'll be speaking to in a moment, but of course it's predominantly for Thai nationals, and not just the children. It's actually more focused towards the education department and therefore the teachers. Now, joining me is Kun Pai from the Hand to Hand Foundation, who we've interviewed before. Kun Pai, I don't speak Thai, I'm sorry, but perhaps if you could tell us in Thai language about this policy, why it's came around, why it has to happen, and what the response has been from the heads of the schools and from City Hall, and how they've helped you achieve this.
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะนโยบายคุ้มครองเด็กของเราเนี่ยนะคะก็เป็นเหมือนจุดประกายนะคะเป็นการปกป้องนะคะเป็นการเริ่มต้นการปกป้องเด็กที่จะถูกการละเมิดทางเพศหรือถูกกระทำนั้นนะคะในตามโรงเรียนต่างๆนะคะแล้วก็เป็นการเปิดโอกาสที่จะให้มูลนิธิของเรานั้นได้มีเครือข่ายนะคะได้เครือข่ายทางครูนะคะตามโรงเรียนคณะครูอาจารย์ตามโรงเรียนต่างๆนั้นได้มีโอกาสที่จะสร้างเครือข่ายให้เข้มแข็งแล้วก็ได้ช่วยเหลือแล้วก็เข้าถึงเด็กๆที่ได้ประสบปัญหาหรือบางท่าน
Discipline of children in Thailand and the way that teachers have done it in the past is sometimes they've used physical, not violence, but they would smack the kids. This policy, this will help stop this happening. Is that correct?
ในนโยบายคุ้มครองเด็กเนี่ยเหมือนเป็นส่วนหนึ่งอะค่ะที่เพราะว่าหลายครั้งเนี่ยก่อนหน้านี้คือเราเป็นคุณครูอาจารย์ที่อยู่ตามโรงเรียนต่างๆเนี่ยเหมือนเป็นตัวเชื่อมอะค่ะเป็นที่เฉพาะในมูลที่เราเนี่ยเราไม่สามารถที่จะเข้าไปถึงปัญหาได้อย่างถูกต้องแต่บางครั้งเนี่ยเหตุเกิดขึ้นที่โรงเรียนต่างๆเนี่ยคุณครูนั้นสามารถที่จะนำเรื่องราวนะคะมาแบ่งปันให้กับเราฟังแล้วมันก็เหมือนกับว่าเป็นจะทำให้เรานั้นได้เข้าถึงปัญหาที่เกิดขึ้นนะคะ
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะชื่อชวรรลักษณ์ผลเลขานะคะชื่อเล่นครูติ๋มค่ะมาจากโรงเรียนเมืองพัทยา6นะคะในนามของโรงเรียนเมืองพัทยา6วันนี้นะคะคุณครูก็ได้เข้าร่วมอบรมเกี่ยวกับระบบป้องกันดูแลเด็กในสถานศึกษานะคะซึ่งนโยบายนี้คุณครูได้ทำมานานนะคะได้ร่วมกับมูลนิธิในภาคีเครือข่ายทั้งหมดนะคะได้เข้าร่วมทุกครั้งที่มีการจัดอบรมนะคะเพื่อเพิ่มพูนประสบการณ์และความรู้ใหม่ๆเพื่อให้นำไปใช้ในสถานศึกษานะคะแต่ก็เป็นหน้าที่ของครูอีกอย่างหนึ่งว่านอกจากงานสอนแล้วนะคะคุณครูก็ได้ดูแลเด็กในเรื่องนี้ด้วยนะคะและหลายครั้งที่ประสบความสำเร็จในการช่วยเหลือเด็กนะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็นกรณีถูกกระทำในเรื่องของชาวต่างชาตินะคะ
My name is Dalinda Rotlat. I'm from World Ministry Foundation from Silacha. I'm coming here to training for the helping organization for the kid in the school. So this is very great ministry to doing this. And then I'm learning this to go for global in all around Chonburi. So then we can progress this in all around Chonburi. This is good.
When you were a student at school,
Yes.
did you know about child abuse and what that was?
No, never. I never heard that. I know what I have to do or teacher, like we had like a line, right? And then, but I never heard about this before when I was a student. Yes.
Some schools in Thailand, the teachers will hit the children.
Yes.
What do you think about that, and how can that change?
For me, is it like natural? Like I grow up like my mom would spank me, but yeah, and then it's had like a rule that you cannot spank the children, and then it helps, but some kid might do have to spank. I mean, some teachers still spank the children, and then I think if we had like a policy that to protect the children, to not spank them, or you had a line that the teacher you cannot do. Is it good for children to know that they cannot touch you? Yeah.
So how because children need to be disciplined. They
Yes.
need to be told when they're being naughty.
Yes.
So how can teachers discipline them without spanking?
I also work with the kid like undergrad, like year 5 like that, and then we had time out, or we if you do this, you have to get out of the room, like for 5 minutes, or if we start doing that, and then students get to know, and then they honor teacher. By the way, if we teach them like by the way they're like young, right? Yeah.
So you mean by kind of excluding them?
Yes.
Saying, okay, you're not going to be able to play with us.
Yes.
Do this activity.
Yes.
And you're going to miss out. That actually can discipline them more.
Yeah.
Because they want to be part of the team.
Yeah. Like
Okay. What do you think if this policy now it starts in Pattaya?
yes.
What do you hope would happen in the future?
I and Margaret were thinking to, like right now we're doing in Sirasha, and right now I contract to the education office in Chonburi, area 3, to talk to them about to bring this policy to Sirasha, to help the teacher to understand this is, you can't spank children, and also to protect the teacher as well if they, might be doing something they don't know. Because some teacher were coming here, they think, oh, I didn't know that. Is it wrong to do that to the student? Yeah.
So it's not about educating the children, it's about educating the teachers.
Teacher as well. Yes. Yeah. Oh, welcome.
ค่ะฝ่ายสังคมสงเคราะห์ส่วนสงเคราะห์สวัสดิการสังคมสำนักพัฒนาสังคมเมืองพัทยานะคะก็เราได้ร่วมมือกับมูลนิธิ Hand to Hand แล้วก็สำนักงานศึกษานะคะสำนักการศึกษาเมืองพัทยาได้จัดอบรมเชิงปฏิบัติการคุ้มครองเด็กในโรงเรียนขึ้นในเมืองพัทยานะคะหลังจากที่จัดอบรมแล้วเนี่ยเราก็มีการประสานและติดตามดูว่าโรงเรียนต่างๆได้นำนโยบายคุ้มครองเด็กเนี่ยเอาไปใช้ได้ปฏิบัติผลสำเร็จจริงหรือไม่นะคะไม่ใช่แค่เป็นเพียงแค่นโยบายในหนังสือแต่เราก็จะพยายามผลักดันโดยการมีออกไปติดตามเยี่ยมโรงเรียนต่างๆเพื่อให้กำลังใจแล้วก็สนับสนุนในการทำงานทุกรูปแบบนะคะเพื่อให้การทำงานเรื่องของคุ้มครองเด็กในโรงเรียนนั้นประสบผลสำเร็จได้เป็นอย่างดีแต่ถ้าหากว่าโรงเรียนไหนมีปัญหาหรือข้อขัดข้องประการใดเนี่ยเราก็จะช่วยผลักดันให้เป็นรูปธรรมมากขึ้นนะคะแล้วเท่าที่เราประเมินดูตอนนี้ค่ะฟีดแบ็กจากโรงเรียนกลับมาก็ได้ผลดีนะคะโรงเรียนบางโรงเรียนได้เริ่มทำกิจกรรมมีโครงการต่างๆที่จะเอานโยบายคุ้มครองเด็กไปสู่กิจกรรมกับเด็กให้เด็กได้มีส่วนร่วมนะคะหลายโรงเรียนก็ให้ความสำคัญแล้วก็ทำสำเร็จแล้วก็บางโรงเรียนแม้ว่าเพิ่งจะเริ่มแต่ก็เป็นนิมิตหมายที่ดีที่เขาได้เอาความรู้ตรงนี้นะคะไปเผยแพร่แนวคิดเพื่อสร้างระบบคุ้มครองเด็กในโรงเรียน
Okay, now as I said earlier, the woman who's been spearheading this whole campaign is a woman who's been living in Thailand for a number of years. She is a missionary, but she's actually known, of course, as the face from the Hand to Hand Foundation. It's Margaret Granger. Margaret, it's a great initiative, and it seems that when I look at it as a layman, you think, why is it only happening now? Because of course nobody did it, but you got off your backside and did it.
Right. Yeah, you know what? Child protection issues have always been a big deal here in Pattaya and in any city, really, in any country of the world. And last year I was talking to the head of the social services here in Pattaya City Hall, and she said that schools didn't have a child protection policy. So having just written our own and got some help from ECPAT about doing that, we said, well, we could help you do that. We could help the schools come together. And so we've done a 6-day training course that started in August last year. So it's taken us 8 months. So we did 2 days of training, like what is child protection and why do we need a child protection policy? Because you want to come to this from a point of understanding about why am I doing this? And so then we took a break, and then we came back in October, and we had 1 day where we started to write the policy. And what we kept on saying to the schools, this is not something that we're deciding as an administrative team or as a social welfare department or as hand-to-hand, but this has to be owned by your school. So they took the part of the policy that we'd written back to their schools, and they said to the teachers, what do you think?
So they fleshed it out.
Yeah. They said to the parents, what do you think? They said to the students, what do you think? And then they came back and they said, we want to make these changes to the policy we've already written. Then we wrote the next section. And so we kept on kind of leapfrogging all the way through until yesterday when we finally finished the policy. And today we got to hand it over to the deputy mayor, which was pretty exciting.
Okay. So in Pattaya, how many schools have sort of came on board?
So there was 11 schools from the government schools, and there was also 3 schools just outside of the Pattaya area, the Banglamong and the Nongpru area.
Okay. Now you said the question earlier, what is child protection? So what is it? What does it look and feel like?
Child protection is a lot of prevention as well. It's looking for things that could be at risk for children. So especially if you're in a school, looking at areas where children could be in danger, corners of the playground, how they can be in danger with each other. So it's kind of taking a preventative look instead of saying, okay, this child's been hit, this child's been raped, saying what can we do to prevent all of that. So child protection is putting the child first.
Now, you know, you're talking about things that happen in the playground. I mean, are there these, well, crimes, I was going to say too strong a word, but it is a crime.
There is, yes, absolutely. And, you know, it's a very sad fact that this is happening in the playgrounds, in the toilets. You know, child protection goes everything from helping children to stay safe online and them using their mobile phones and lunchtime to look at pornography, or, you know, doing sexual acts in the playground or in the bathroom after school, before school, and even during lunchtime. So this is quite a severe issue, and it also goes into the bullying and the hitting and all that kind of stuff as well.
So as well as effectively helping the teachers be aware and, you know, opening their eyes and ears to this type of abuse, I guess that what would eventually happen is that the children start to realize what is right and what is wrong, and then that, of course, you know, guides them in their path of life.
That's
hopefully, right?
Yes, and you know, this policy is developed to protect the children, it's developed to protect the staff as well. So the children have a part of this policy. So now the children have a vehicle and a voice in the school to say, I feel scared because of this, or I feel threatened because of this, or I feel intimidated because of this. And they have a way now to report that to staff, and staff know how to respond to those reports, because sometimes a child conjures up all of the courage they have to go to a teacher to disclose something that's happened, and if the teacher doesn't know how to respond, then sometimes that child won't continue to tell more of the story. And also sometimes the teacher does listen compassionately but doesn't know what to do next, doesn't know how to go further. And also training teachers on what kind of information do I need to collect, because if this does go to the police, or it does go to a higher level, do you have all the information that you need written down at the time?
Yeah, that's it. Because I guess, you know, when in serious cases they want to document the case, and they should have you know, it shouldn't just be a one-on-one. They should have someone there as a witness to the statement. I mean, it sounds like a sort of legal proceedings, but I guess the problem is, you mentioned the police there. If it is going to involve the police, then it could get to that stage. So everything needs to be corroborated.
Right, and also, you know, there's a common reporting format between all of the schools now. So they're collecting the same information in the same order. So you can compare incidences, you can compare children, you can compare types of cases side by side, even in between schools, because all the information's there in the same order.
So will the schools now communicate with each other? I mean, will they be saying, you know, we had this case this month, or we had a similar case? Is that going to happen, or how does that happen?
So that's what we really want to facilitate this year. So at the beginning of the year, when the teachers come together for their teacher in service days, we'll be going and talking to the teachers about the policy that's going to be implemented in their school. The education department's going to be saying this is part of your evaluation criteria every year for your school, and also starting to facilitate talks between schools. So we're going to spend 2014 going into schools and say, how's this working for you? Have you been able to present this to your parents? No, how can we help you do that? So a lot of 2014 is going to be implementing and helping them do that.
One of the big challenges for you must be because, you know, the cultural aspect of disciplining children in schools is quite frankly primitive by the standards that we would have in, you know, in Australia and in Europe and such like, because the format has always been to discipline the child by spanking him or her. I know with my son, actually, it upsets him far more if I tell him to go and stand in the corner rather than slapping him or spanking his backside. But how do you deal with that? Because you're trying to change something it doesn't matter that it's right or wrong. It's just the way it's been. But you're trying to change that. It's a huge mindset.
Yes.
That's a bit like saying, well, the sun isn't going to come up tomorrow or whatever. You know, it's just that must be a huge challenge.
Yeah, so you know what we've been doing, that's been a big part of this, is lots and lots of discussions about child abuse and defining child abuse and working through case studies of child abuse and identifying that hitting a child is actually abuse. And you know, there are laws in Thailand that actually prohibit that. But because it is so accepted by the status quo, as you said, is changing those mindsets to say, okay, this is the way it's always been done, but that's not okay anymore. And also giving the teachers tools. Okay, if I'm not going to spank them, how can I discipline this child? And it is very difficult in the Thai schools when you've got 50 children in a classroom. You know, you don't have the kind of resources that we do in our schools back home. But you know, they have changed their mindset. Some heads of school have come to me and said, I now recognize that hitting children is abuse and we're going to stop it in our schools. So it is going to take time and change will come slowly, but as you said, changing the mindsets is the very foundation of all of that.
Okay. Well, great work as ever, and it relates to the one that you did a few years ago about the internet awareness, which you rolled out to schools to show them that when kids are on Facebook, they might not be speaking to little 8-year-old Johnny, it might be 50-year-old Harry or whatever, and who's got a completely different set of objectives. So you're doing great work, and I think you're opening the eyes and the ears of Thai people, and if this can get rolled out further across the province and hopefully one day nationwide, you'll have changed everything.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to big change. And Pattaya City is the first city in Thailand to ever do this. So we're the only city in Thailand that has a child protection policy for every school in Pattaya. So we're pretty excited about that.
Margaret, nice to see you again. We're going to wrap it up here at City Hall. This has been a great initiative spearheaded by Margaret and the Hand to Hand Foundation, but with the cooperation of City Hall, who've then managed to get the ears of all these schools in and around Pattaya, and hopefully they will be changing things. As Margaret says, it's not going to happen overnight. These things take time, but we'll get there one day. See you again. Bye-bye.